Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Choujin X Chapter 5. When we last left our heroes, Tokyo, kind of after being turned away by Azuma, an act that Azuma deeply regrets, but Tokyo does not know that, and so Tokyo decides he has to work out how to change back to normal on his own. And while he's kind of moping about how to do that, he learns he can talk to birds. And these two pigeons kind of like tell him to cheer up, and remind him that all the birds in town adore him. And so Tokyo gets to work trying to learn how to de-Choujinify. That doesn't really work out. So he gets the idea to talk to the vulture that he met at the zoo so many years ago. He then learns that the zoo is closed, however, but the animals are still there for some reason, which was a little bit unclear last chapter. And while he's kind of moping, about to go home, he meets this girl who helps him sneak in, guides him to the bird exhibit, and reveals that she is a snake Choujin and tries to eat him. Which is where we left off last time, with Tokyo's head in this snake girl's mouth. So all that being said, let's jump right on into Chapter 5. And we open with what looks like a flashback, with our mysterious masked villain on the phone with the snake girl, I think. Telling her, he is a beaked Choujin. I do not know his name. He's around 16 to 18, Nari. So I guess Nari is the girl's name. Okay. I think you would be quite suited to this. And Nari responds, well, I don't care as long as I get the fee. You want me to nab him? And the man just responds, that depends on his abilities. So that's actually an interesting line there. Maybe he's saying if he's strong enough, kind of make him join our side of whatever is going on. I think one of the things about Choujin is that we really don't have a sense of the world right now, what kind of conflicts are going on in Choujin society. But we kind of saw with Chandra back in Chapter 2, how he wanted Ellie to kind of become his apprentice. That he had made her a Choujin so that she would be his apprentice explicitly. And maybe that's kind of what's going on with this guy. That if he finds Tokyo is strong enough, he'll sort of rope him into some sort of apprenticeship role. Or put him in the same position Nari's in. I don't know. Either way, we then cut to where we left off, with Tokyo inside Nari's mouth. And she's like lifting him up. He's kind of flailing, and then she spits him out. The belt covering his beak flies off, and Nari looks at him, beak, and Tokyo realizes he's kind of unmasked and kind of tries to hide the beak, but it doesn't really work. As Nari sort of like whips her tongue at him or something, and Tokyo panics. A snake? And he just books it. He just runs. I love just the sheer like length of that scream. It's a really neat detail. And he hits the door. He tries to open the door, but I think it's locked. And he's kind of panicking. Snake, 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 snake. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Snakehead, it won't open. She can't be. And he's caught in two snakes kind of coming from her body. She can't be a Choujin too! And he's like lifted up by the neck. And we see Nari in some kind of hybrid Choujin form. With like, you can see her human head has like its right eye, its mouth, most of the face, really just most of the face except for the left eye. And then the snake head also has most of its face except for its right eye and part of its mouth. It's a really fucking creepy face there. It's some good shit. That's some good design there, Ishida. Not gonna lie. Not gonna fucking lie. Anyway, Nari taunts him. Don't run. I've been looking for you, Choujin. And Tokyo just panics. She knows? And she was looking for me? And she tries to kind of, he tries to pull off the snake, kind of strangling him. You are over near Oba 3rd District, giving your powers a swing, yeah? And Tokyo reacts, what? And Nari continues, when the Choujin uses their powers, they release a distinct signal, you see. one that other nearby Choujin can pick up. So I released my own signal to test whether you were a Choujin. Oh. And he flashes back to a scene that happened last chapter, where he kind of got that sudden tingle, and he thought that it was a sign his powers were working. Apparently it wasn't. It was Nari. She continues, you sensed it, right? And then Tokio presses, what do you want from me? And she just responds, a test. I want to see your Choujin power. You tried to evade me. If I capture you, that's a strike. 3 strikes and the test is over. So that kind of ties in with what the masked man was saying at the beginning of the chapter. You know, the exact line is, nab him, that depends on his abilities. So if he's strong enough, grab him and bring him to the man. If not, just off him. So yeah, that's sort of what we see going on there. But Tokio does not have all that information and thinks, why does she want to do that? And then he asks, so, if it's a test, does that mean I can pass or fail? And Nari just nods. It does. If I fail, does something happen? And she kind of thinks for a sec. I'll kill you. And she just drops him. He hits the ground. Come on, let's get to it. I'll give you 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3... And Tokio's just kind of sitting there, sort of stunned. Huh? And Nari continues, 4, 5... Did she say kill? 6, 7... And we see Nari's legs are starting to fuse together, turning into, like, the tail of a snake. There's just parts of Nari's transformation that are just really fucking cool to see. From, like, the weird half-face earlier, now we're, like, seeing the kind of grisly transformation into the sort of, I guess, kind of like a lamia, I think is the creature I'm thinking of, that just sort of looks like, by the end of this page. 6, 7, and Tokio kind of continues, she couldn't have. 8, 9, no, she did. And at this point, she throws off her jacket, so she's now kind of just... The only clothes she's got on is just, like, the not quite a bra going on, but dips down. It's a weird top she's got. And then, of course, her snake form. 10. And we finally get our title, Choujin X, as we see Nari sort of chase after Tokio, and Tokio's just, like, running. It's kind of almost cartoonish, the way Tokio's kind of drawn. But Nari taunts, going to run like a normal person. Uh-oh. If you can run 100 meters in 15 seconds, that's 24 kilometers an hour. That's pretty fast, right? That's, 24 kilometers an hour is a really my metric knowledge is not good at all. But 24 kilometers an hour is really fucking fast, isn't it? Either way, Nari presses, how fast do you think I can go? And we see all of the birds in the zoo that Tokio can hear are betting on the race. A human? Why, they seem to be racing. Rad, I was getting bored. 50 grams of feed on the male, and this owl takes that bet. 20 grams on the female. And a peacock, 100 grams on the female as well. So here's another question, though. Is that who's feeding them? The zoo is closed. Who's still taking care of them? I mean, maybe there's something. Maybe it's like an obvious answer. Certainly an unimportant answer. But is this kind of what I'm thinking while I'm reading this? Anyway, Tokio yells out an answer to her question. 30, 30, 30. And then Nari seems to kind of jump in front of him. Wrong. The black mamba can move at 15 kilometers an hour, but in this mode, and she sort of has wrapped Tokio up in her snake tail. In this mode, I can go 3 times as fast, and she flicks him. Strike 1. Alright, so Tokio's already in kind of a bad spot. And then she kind of taunts, as she drops him, you won't make it with those legs. Come on, up you get. Round 2. So I think what we're going to see by the end of this chapter is Tokio is forced to kind of turn into a more bird-like form. Like, we see Nari can turn into a snake. I think Tokio is going to have to become more bird than man. And maybe somewhere in there is kind of the trick to going back to full human. Because, we see Nari, who can, at will, transform between snake and woman. And maybe Tokio, he's stuck in this kind of hybrid form. And if he can learn to become a vulture, he can also turn back into a regular guy? Maybe? I don't know. Anyway, Nari kind of gets ready for the next part. Round 2. 1, 2, and Tokio just starts running. I'm a slow runner. Oh boy, he's fucked. He's fucked. We come back to a flashback. Sports day at KG Elementary. And everyone's calling, Tokio! Tokio! What do you think you're doing, Tokio? And Azuma kind of turns back. It's like a relay race. And Azuma turns. I guess Tokio's handing the baton to Azuma. And Azuma turns back to look at him. And someone in the crowd calls, we dropped to last. And the crowd is just yelling at him. How many people are you going to let pass you up? Hurry up and pass it to the anchor. Our class is in last place. And Tokio is just like weeping. We can see like the tears going like diagonal across his face as he cries. And Azuma just sort of looks at him, and Tokio kind of mutters out, Azuma, sorry. And he hands off the baton, and Azuma just bolts. He just fucking goes for it. And he beats every other kid. We're first place. Amazing. Azuma's so fast. We did it. We did it. We did it. And then Azuma comes back for Tokio. Tokio. Kind of, I think that sort of goes to show that what the audience knows, and what maybe Tokio has forgotten, is that Azuma does not resent him. He deeply regrets that kind of do it all on your own thing he shouted at him back in chapter 3. Anyway, the young Tokio thinks, Azuma, and then in the present, our Tokio is caught by Nari again. Ugh! And he's, caught up in these kind of snake arms she's got. Strike 2. And then Nari kind of looks at him. Are you underestimating me? It kind of feels like your mind is on something else. I hate being underestimated. Can you take this seriously? And then all of a sudden, her snakes bite into Tokio, kind of shocking him. And then throws him to the ground. That's a blend of neurotoxins. 30 minutes and your limbs will be paralyzed. An hour and you're a goner. Okay, that doesn't quite seem tied into the game, because by 30 minutes, she'll have caught him again. It only took her like a minute or two for each round. Maybe she'll have the antidote, and that'll be tied into how this sort of fight concludes, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, Nari looks at him again. Well, how about the final round? 1, 2, and Tokio just books it again. If she catches me, she'll kill me. And if she doesn't, the toxins will. Wait, isn't this a no-win situation? So yeah, it kind of raises the problem, is that he's kind of fucked now. Even if he manages to escape her, he can't actually survive unless she has some kind of antidote. And that makes him break down. He falls over. This is... and then out loud he starts laughing. And he kind of stops. I can't anymore. Someone... And then he just yells, someone please help! And Nari turns back into her human form. Seriously? You lack strength, ingenuity, even mutability. Most of all, you lack a sense of responsibility for your own life. You're ordinary. You failed. Bye-bye. So that's very much tied in with all of the feelings that Tokio's got going on thanks to Azuma's outburst. That you lack a sense of responsibility for your own life is exactly how Tokio is interpreting what Azuma told him. Which is, not really what Tokio needs to hear right now. Anyway, the way that sort of blacked out panel, the next page is either going to be Tokio turning into a bird at the last possible second, or it's going to be Ellie and Hoshi Sandek kind of connecting our two plots. That's my theory. Um, and yeah, we see this big cloud of smoke, which could be Ellie, given that she is a smoke Choujin. And Nari's kind of shocked, turns back to look at it. What? And Tokio looks up at it. That's smoke? And yep, that's Ellie. And Ellie sort of hits the ground. I'm not sure if that's just Ishi should have released this chapter kind of unfinished, but there's something about the way that Ellie is literally like a sketch in that panel on page near the bottom left of page 21 that feels sort of there's something about it that feels like it's representative. Maybe that Ellie hasn't quite gotten used to her powers, and so she's kind of out of control, maybe. Either way, Ellie arrives to save the day, and she gets back up. We see Tokio just sort of stunned, and Ellie gets up. Ugh. And she just looks at Tokio, and both of them kind of react. A person? Next chapter coming soon. Okay, so, our two protagonists have kind of collided there. Ellie and Tokio have met each other. We don't really know what Ellie has been up to for the past few chapters. Ever since she kind of met Hoshi, I assume she kind of has gotten some training from him. Because she seems to have a grasp on controlling her smoke. And so I'm assuming that Hoshi has sort of taught her a little bit what exactly to do there. And so I could also see, Ellie at least immobilizing Nari for a little bit, if not really defeating her, and then taking Tokio to Hoshi, where Tokio can then kind of learn how to become a human again from Hoshi. But I'm slightly worried, though, that if Tokio and Ellie sort of are in the same... I've kind of been assuming the Tokio plot and the Ellie plot would connect occasionally, of course, but would largely be independent, at least for large swaths of the series. And I'm worried if the two of them start to share a setting, start to share chapters, my fear is that Tokio could kind of eclipse Ellie as protagonist. I like Ellie. I think she's a really fun character, just in a little bit we've seen of her. And I want her to have her moments to... Not just her like, moments to shine, but I want her to be the protagonist. Be at the same level of protagonistism as Tokio. I don't want him to overshine her. But anyway, I am glad that she's here. I think she's fun. And Tokio was kind of fucked, unless he could suddenly learn to become a bird real fast. So yeah, I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. Though, like I kind of implied, a little bit cautious. Anyway, let's look at this chapter. It's fun. Nari's forms are fun. There's just a really cool gruesomeness to her transformations. Like, I love the kind of, the 2 3/4 heads she's got going on page 4. How, like, the snake head is coming out of the human head. That's just so creepy. I love it. And then we, like, physically see her transformation into the snake body. It's all just some really, really good creature design here. It is some good shit. I don't know. I just really like it. And she just sort of mops the floor with him. Though we do get some good comedy. I love the birds gambling on the race. That's a good bit. But yeah, Tokio's kind of fucked. He is easily caught by Nari. He has no idea what he's doing. He's poisoned. He's dying. He has absolutely no chance. Nari is right about to kill him. And he's only saved by Ellie, who showed up at the exact last moment, who apparently did not expect a person to be here. Like, my imagining is that she, because Nari talked about the signals that Choujin send out when they use their powers. So I'm guessing she felt that from Nari and came to stop her, but she wasn't expecting anyone to be here. Like, she doesn't say a Choujin. Like, if she was expecting Nari to be tormenting a human, she might say, she might be shocked that the person that she found was a Choujin. But instead, she says a person. Like, she wasn't expecting anyone at all. It's just an interesting choice of words there. I'm kind of curious how that will all come about. But either way, Tokio's really weak. Ellie's here. Hopefully she'll save the day. And yeah, that's kind of all I have to say for this chapter. Hope you'll enjoy the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe. Do whatever makes you happy, And remember, your life is your own, okay? Bye!